Now, the last thing that we do before we save the image is apply sharpening. We usually leave sharpening to the very, very last thing that we do. And we're going to sharpen for output, which means we're either going to sharpen for how we want it to look when it's printed. So it's going to be a print or go on a printing press, or we're going to sharpen for how we want it to look finally to look on the web. And you need less sharpening for the web than you do for printing. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. But the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and apply our sharpening. The sharpening tool that we use, and it's probably the most popular of all of them, is to go under the filter menu, under sharpen, and choose unsharp mask. And I say it's probably the most popular. It is. It's far and away the most popular way to sharpen your image. It's a great filter. And don't let the name unsharp throw you. This is basically an old throwback term to traditional darkroom days where I'm not even going to explain it. But anyway, it's a filter called unsharp mask. All right. And I put in some settings that I use quite often here. The amount slider is how much sharpening you want. For something like this that has a lot of texture and a lot of edges and things, so it's not a soft subject, it's a harder subject, I'll pump the amount up to about 120. All right, so I think gives a nice level of, let's type in 120. There we go. All right, for the radius, I'll leave it pretty much set at 1. For the threshold, I'm going to lower it down to 3. And I'm going to give you a couple of different settings to get you going here, but this is one I particularly like for images that have a lot of detail like the one that you see here. Anything with a lot of texture and things like that, you can really just slam the sharpening on it. And that's what we're doing here, is applying quite a bit of sharpening. And we're just going to click OK, and it gives you just a nice level of sharpening. So let me show you a before and after. I'm just going to hit undo and redo. Command Z on a Mac or Control Z on a PC, and watch the difference. Here's before and after, and look at the difference before and after. A really good place to look to see the sharpening is right in here. Watch, before and after, before and after. Now, here's the thing. The level of sharpening I just gave you works for high resolution images and things, but you don't want to just apply it and leave it. What you really want to do is you want to apply it, and after you apply it, immediately after you apply it, you want to go to Fade Unsharp Mask, right under the Edit menu, and choose Fade. And it brings up this dialog box. And what we're going to do is we're going to change the mode from normal, which is just applying the regular old unsharp mask, to change the mode to luminosity right here. And what that does is basically this. It's going to apply your sharpening just to the detail areas of the photo. Okay, so almost like a black and white version of the photo, without applying it to the color areas. And why does that matter? Because the problems we get into in sharpening is that when you sharpen the color, you get things like the halos we talked about earlier, and little artifacts, and things start to look funky. So by doing this little trick here, we can actually kind of apply more sharpening than we can normally get away with. All right, so that 120, 1 and 3 setting I gave you, 120% for the amount, 1 for the radius, and 3 for the threshold, does a really pretty nice job for any image that you want to have a lot of nice snap to it. Okay, you click OK, and that's it. So are you telling me, Scott, and I'm talking for you now, so Scott, are you telling me that every time I apply an unsharp mask, I have to go choose Fade and then switch the mode to luminosity? Well, you don't always have to do it. You can just do it one time. And by that I mean, if you write an action, then you only have to do it one time, because from then on, your computer will do it for you almost automatically. You just have to press a button, it'll do it. If you've never written an action before, it's this little palette over here called the Actions palette. You can find it under the window menu. You can just choose Actions. And this is a tape recorder that lives inside of Photoshop. If you're used to using something like Microsoft Excel or using anything with macros, well, or any software program that uses macros, not a macro lens, but it's basically a recorder that plays back anything that is boring to do, like applying a bunch of sharpening. So let's show you how to do that. To create a new action, we'll go ahead and create a new folder. We'll just call this like CS3 Actions. Here we go. There we go. And then we'll click the new button. Looks just like the new layer button. All right. And we'll give this a name. We're going to call this Unsharp High. Okay, so it's an unsharp mask high setting. And we're going to assign this to a function key in our keyboard. So you can assign it to the little F keys across the top of your keyboard. We'll assign it to like F9. So when I press F9, it's going to run this action called Unsharp High. Now, but before I do that, I haven't really done anything to my photo yet. I have to record it first. So there is no OK button. If you notice, the button says record. So now it's recording. That's why that little red light is on here at the bottom of the actions palette. So anything I do, it's recording. So I would go and choose sharpen, unsharp mask. I'd put in my very high setting of 121 and 3. Click OK. Then go to the edit menu, go to fade unsharp mask, choose luminosity, and click OK. All right, so basically I applied my favorite settings, and then I changed the mode to luminosity. Now all you have to do is hit stop. All right, now you can close the actions palette. You're pretty much done. What you want to do now is test your action. So let's go and revert this thing all the way back. Well, let's just go back a few steps here. Let's press Shift-Command-Z to undo the last thing, which was the luminosity. Press it again, Shift-Command-Z to undo the second sharpening, Shift-Command-Z to undo the first sharpening. That kind of gets us back to where we started. What I was doing was multiple undos. I'm basically stepping back one step at a time through history. That was 3 undos. On PC, that would be Alt-Control-Z. Every time you press it, it gives you an undo, and you get 20 undos by default. All right, now let's test our theory and see if our action worked. If we press F9, it should work. And look how fast it ran. It just applies just like that. It does it 10 times faster than you could ever do it yourself. So it's really very slick. Very, very cool way to do it. So you don't have to do it every time. You just have to do it that one time and then apply it as an action from there on out. And I kind of want to just show you the difference between. Let's go ahead and revert. There's our original image. All right, so let's duplicate the image. Do the whole thing for you real quick. Let's go to curves. We know where the 3 spots to click are because we found that out earlier, right? One was inside here, right? One was over like here. And I think the third one was over like somewhere gray and like right around this rim here. Maybe something right in there, I think it was. And then we came over to curves. We did our 3 clicks here to create some contrast and just kind of popped it in like that, I think. Brought a little more highlights out here. I think we even moved this up a bit, didn't we, to get it looking good. There we go. That looks pretty darn good. And then, whoops, down a little bit. Not so far, not so much. There we go. And then watch when you apply the sharpening. So here's the F9. Pow. Look at how sharp that is. Look at the difference between there to there. I mean, just really sweet. All right. Now that was one setting that I gave you. I'm actually going to give you a couple more settings in the next segment.